Hi guys, I am live for a spirit chat session today. Hopefully that you can join me, and hopefully again this post is actually going to be live this time, because for some reason Facebook has decided to make a lot of my posts not live. They decided to make them private, which is really weird because I've been doing this forever. So I'm going to be checking to make sure that it is going live here really quickly. Super excited for you guys to come in and ask me questions. So one of the things that I wanted to cover today was going to be a post which I'm going to find. It's about ADHD and ADD. Okay, so it's by Sky. We were talking about this earlier in the group. I don't know if you guys heard this, but the ADHD and the ADD, she was wondering, does that have anything to do with psychic ability, or how did I feel like that was on a spiritual level? Absolutely. ADHD, ADD, whatever you want to call it, they keep renaming it. That has a ton to do with being psychically sensitive. And so there is a lot of kids coming into the world now that are very psychically sensitive, and they can tend to think very quickly. And so, like I explained this to Sky, just so that you guys know, they're trained to think in two places at one time. And so if you're in a dimension and you are kind of in the middle, and you can sense or hear from one side, and you can sense or hear from the other side, and imagine trying to hear and consume information from both sides, and then you have to translate it really quickly and kind of bring it all together in one place. You have a skill that you've been born with and able to compartmentalize and translate and hear at the same time. So they tend to be able to, the only way I can describe it is they tend to be able to think really quickly and compartmentalize this information. Well, the problem with that is, because you can think really quickly and process this information really quickly, you can tend to get bored really easy. So like if somebody's talking about one subject, you're on to 5 subjects later after that. Like you are just processing through what they're saying so fast that you can tend to get very bored. And so that is what's happening with a lot of these kids. And somebody else had asked, and you're going to hear some dinging in the background from, because I have to pull up my questions here. Then that led to another person that wanted to talk about children and disabilities, and is there any linking on a spiritual connection with the high vibration or gifted kids spiritually? Absolutely. Any children born with disabilities are spiritually gifted. They were very spiritually gifted before they came down, or were born, because you have to be a very high vibration and a certain level to be able to come down and live a life in a disability. So 100% disabled children are spiritually gifted with a very high vibration. It's amazing, and they're wonderful, wonderful spirits and souls. And so yes, there is also a connection with that. Another thing that I wanted to bring up that we've been talking about in the psychic ability class that I've been doing, which is I've been working so hard with these students over there that that's why you haven't seen me quite as much, but is being an empath and having anxiety or panic attacks. I was explaining to them, because I have a lot of questions about this. Being an empath, like I said, and anxiety, they tend to go like this. Because you can feel all the emotions and things around you, you tend to be able to, you're very, very prone to having anxiety and panic attacks. You can sense and feel energy everywhere. So you have two problems. You have like one where people are draining the information and your energetic body draining of the energy, draining away from you. And then you have the problem of all the objects and things and people and everything that you feel around you. And what happens is it's like an energy overload or an energy drainage. So you have one or two problems. You've either been drained of the energy, or you have an energy overload of everything going on around you. And either way, it can cause you to feel anxious, it can cause you to feel shaky, it can cause you to feel drained. If you're not feeling anxiety, it causes you to feel a lot of things that add up to causing you to have anxiety, that like maybe feel like low blood sugar, all kinds of stuff. It make you feel detached out of body. And the interesting thing about this is, number one, people don't really realize that I would say, and I'm not even kidding, because I've had issues with anxiety myself. I know exactly what it's like. And I would say that probably 90% of people who have anxiety are very strong empaths. Like, no joke. It's a high, high number. And so they do tend to go hand in hand. So that was something that somebody else asked about. And I'm ready for your guys' questions. I'm going to go up here to see, somebody else had asked me another question I wanted to answer. But I'm ready to answer. So whatever you guys are wondering about would be fantastic. Where was the other one? Somebody... I can't seem to find it. Random thing happened while driving. Oh, that was another one Don Hickey was talking about the other day. Random thing happened to me while driving on the freeway. When she says it was just myself on the way back to pick up my kids, and all of a sudden I hear kids screaming in my left ear. It was as clear as if you were driving and heard the kids screaming on the sidewalk, but she was on the freeway and there were no kids screaming out the windows or anything. Plus, it was right inside her ear. Wondering if this happened with anybody else, and any insight would be great. 2 things are happening with Dawn, which I explained, but if you guys have any questions, now's the time to ask. That is what's called the spirit imprint. So we have vortexes around the earth, or around your cities, or around different places where there's like a vortex, or how would I explain this? A doorway, like where the veil is thinner. So it's like a portal. They can come in, they can come out, and it can be all different areas of your city. They tend to be everywhere. I actually have one right outside here. And so when they tend to have these portals that they can come in and out of, you can pick up and hear spirit imprints. And spirit imprints are spirits on the other side, and or their spirit imprint that they've left here, a noise, or it's energetic noise that's kind of stuck in this dimension. So you can hear things from the other side. You can hear kids laughing. You can hear all kinds of things. It's like kind of like opening your door and being able to hear your neighbor for a minute. So that was what that is. It was a energetic imprint that she had heard, and it was while she was going through a vortex. So it's super common. Well, let me take that back. It's not super common. It's super common to me, because it seems like I find energetic vortexes all over the place. But that's what that was, and it doesn't mean that you're going to bring the spirits home to your house, or that they're going to be in your car or anything like that. Now, if it starts happening at home, that's a whole different thing. But again, like I said, I have a vortex that goes right out here, so we get it a lot. Jane asked, is there another shift happening right now? This particular shift that I was talking about a while ago, that we haven't talked about for a while, is something that's going to continue to happen. It's going to continue to happen over several, probably, I think the next 50 years is what it's supposed to. So it's slowly going to be shifting all things over from the physical realm over to the spiritual realm. And so there's going to be a lot more spiritual presence, a heavier presence as far as spiritual stuff goes. The spiritual dimension will become the more of the primary dimension, I guess I would say. The physical dimension, because before it was very heavily weighted towards the physical side, it's moving up towards the middle, and then it's going to be moving down towards where the spiritual stuff is heavier. So that's going to be happening. Can or does the vortex move? Vortexes can move, Catherine. Normally, they tend to stay where they're at. They tend to be fixated in an area. So they can move, but I would say 10% of them move. It's not a huge number. They tend to stay fixed. So for instance, where she was talking about on the freeway, you have to imagine before the freeway was even there, that vortex was already there. It's just an area that has been there for probably hundreds of years or whatever. So Don popped in right as you were talking about my question. And I think that's funny, Don, because you keep saying you can't hear anything. So there is a major sign for you. Just FYI, you asked for it. There you go. So, yeah, that's the other one. Grounding. I want to talk to you guys about grounding and energetic clearing, because that was another thing. I know that we've talked about all of this in the group, but I like to explain this stuff if you guys have questions. And if you have other questions, now this is the time to hit me up, because I think I have about 10 more minutes of the spirit chat. So the grounding techniques is when you're trying to bring your spiritual body and your physical bodies back together. When you are learning to develop your abilities of any kind, or you are raising your vibration or any of that stuff, what happens is your spiritual body will begin to separate from your physical body. You want them to be in balance the best you can. You also don't want your physical body to hold dominance over your physical or your spiritual body so that it's kind of weaker and meeker. You don't want it to be kind of like this either. You want them to be equal. And so as you begin to spiritually develop or raise your vibration, your spiritual body will start to go like this, and you want to pull it back down so that there's a balance. So it's more of a 50-50 thing. That's what grounding is. It's pulling your bodies back together and having you work more as a one unit instead of having your spiritual body and your physical body sort of separate and trying to do different things. And so you want to work together as one unit. You want to be one, and finding balance is what happens when the grounding occurs, is it pulls your spiritual body back in. And that's really important to do. When you find that you have to clear energy, that would be the space around your physical and your spiritual bodies. It can be around and attached around it, or you can hold it, or it can be in your environment. But clearing energy is around us, and we are energy. So when you clear energy, you're clearing anything around you, or you're clearing objects such as like rocks, or let's just pretend this is anything, rocks, books, clothes. You can clear clothes. And so you're clearing the stuff that's attached. And the way that I explain that to people is it's kind of like when you want to clear energy, it's like if you had jumped in a lake of murky water, like really gross, like water that has like dirt and sticks and stuff in it, and you can feel the dirt on your skin, and you want to get out and take a shower and get it off because it's just not clear water. That's what it feels like when you have murky energy around you, and that's why you would do energetic clearings. And so those are two very different things. And so imagine if you jumped in a lake of really nice clear lake water or river water, and how nice it feels on your skin and how just clear it is. That's what it's like when you do an energetic clearing. You're clearing the energy around your space, around your being, around your spiritual, physical body. So hopefully that you guys get what I'm saying there. So Annie says, being an empath and having anxiety really resonates with me. As I've gotten older, my anxiety has lessened, but I have also felt a lot more disconnected. Is that happening because I've been ignoring or trying to block my empathic senses? Being disconnected is also a sign of psychic development. So when you're feeling disconnected, and let me, before I answer this, Annie, and I will kind of answer this, but are you saying you're feeling disconnected like emotionally, or you're disconnected like physically and spiritually in your body? I'm going to address the one that I thought you were talking about, which is you can feel disconnected from your physical body sometimes, like you're watching a movie and that you're just like not feeling like you're in your body. That's also what happens when you're spiritually developing, if you're not grounding yourself. So that's one thing. But I do want you to comment on that, because if you're talking emotionally detached, that's a whole different thing. Susie says, does talking to yourself in your mind or hearing a conversation between yourself and someone else not yet happened or not ever happened, would that be considered clairaudience or just a trait of a person overthinking things? Does talking to yourself in your mind or hearing a conversation between yourself and someone else, if you're hearing a conversation between you and someone else who's like your husband or your kids or somebody that you know in existence, and it hasn't happened or has never happened, that's not a trait of clairaudience. That's actually and usually something else going on that you're actually trying to work through and with your own thoughts and such. So that's not exactly clairaudience. That's something a little bit different. Audra, hi Jennifer, I was woken the other night by a man saying my name very loud. I answered him, but he didn't say anything else. I've had this happen at night and voices saying my name, but that is all they say. Super common. Again, we've covered this in some stuff, but great question. The man saying your name is actually your spirit guide. That happens at night. I know it's your spirit guide because I can see it. That happens at night often, whether it's your spirit guide or whether it's somebody else. Funny story for you guys, actually, which I better tell you after I finish this. So what happens at night is the veil is thinner. It's thicker in the daytime. So when it's thicker in the daytime, it's like this. And so there's these little cracks that spirits can get through, like, like this. You can see the little cracks. They can get through if you're really good at listening to them. But when there's all this energetic noise, people talking, going to work, driving in their cars, just all this activity of people and bodies and places and things, the energy tends to be high and there's a lot of energetic noise, so it's really kind of solid. And so what happens at night is the veil starts to thin because the energetic noise starts to calm down, the veil starts to thin, these gaps get bigger, the spirits can then come in and communicate with you, not to mention at nighttime. That's when you relax your mind and your body and go into sort of a meditative state. When you go into a meditative state, you are easily reachable and you are a lot easier to get in touch with as far as spirits and your spirit guide goes. So your belief system starts to go down because you're kind of resting and your mind's at ease and you're more open and susceptible to the spiritual realm. And so that's what happens. So they come in, they whisper your name, they sit on the bed, they do all these types of things to get your attention, to talk to you, let them know that you're here, or let you know that they're here, and just really want you to understand that they have a presence. They don't want you to run around feeling like you have no support system, or you just are, running around willy-nilly just trying to figure out life. Your spirit guides are here to guide you. And I forget sometimes that you guys are not all in the psychic ability class that I'm teaching, but I'm teaching that one, and the next one's going to be a spirit guide and spirit communication class. But we're talking about a lot of this stuff over there. They're here for a reason. They want you to know it. They really, really do. Because if you know that your guide's there and he calls your name at night, and that gives you proof that he exists, then you're more susceptible as you begin to get not afraid to reach out and connect with your guide. Your guide wants to feel connected to you. He wants you to feel connected to him. That way, that makes their job easier, that they can help guide you. That's the purpose. And so that's why they stop, say your name, try to get your attention, move your hair, do things like that. It's like, hey, I'm here. Listen, feel me, see me, like I'm here to help you. I'm here for your support system, for your protection. So that's why they do that. It's super, super cool that when they do that and call your name. I hope that answered your question, Audra. Oh, so to my story, which is really hilarious, not to my son's girlfriend, but it's funny. And when I have spirit activity, or when I'm doing classes, which I'm doing right now, and I'm doing a lot of spiritual stuff, the spirits tend to like to do things, shenanigans around our house. And this morning they let their dog out from their area to our area. They're two separate areas, and she wasn't too fond of that. She was a little freaked out, so that's pretty funny. And if you're listening, yes, it's very funny that you're freaked out. So it happens a lot at our house. When your vibration raises, you will experience more things. The more you raise your vibration, and that don't let that scare you, because it's very cool. So you might hear things, you might see things moved, you might hear knocking on doors, such as that. Jasmine says, anything we can do in a low-key way to clear negative energy and to help ground our children that appear to seem highly sensitive. I find it interesting that you say low-key. I'd like to hear what you say about that, because children, I find it way more effective and way more effective for their adult life if you just don't teach them low-key how to clear negative energy. I wanted my kids to know. Of course, don't compare you guys to me, because obviously people think I am strange because I'm psychic. So that being said, I feel like children are way more, first of all, they know a lot about psychic ability more than most adults. They know about clearing, they know how energy feels. They know really, really a lot of stuff that you think that they wouldn't know, number one. Number two, children are so smart in understanding the spiritual realm of things and how things feel, that you would be surprised at how much more they probably know than you think that they know. And number three, we want them to have this good information and open up the lines of communication about their spiritual bodies and their spiritual self, it's not a bad thing. You can tell them not necessarily to talk to grandma and grandpa about it, but you want them to be in touch with that part of themselves, because that part is going to help them learn, grow, and develop into really amazing adults. You don't want them to grow up being disconnected or taught how to ground on the down low. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not sure what your situation is, so let's just say we're going to do it on the down low. The way to clear negative energy, there is some actual meditations you can do that, and you're not in my class. There's an angel meditation that you can actually do for kids and for other people to do a clearing on them. And so there's some meditations that you can do. You can also, as far as clearing energy on a negative energy on another person, is basically doing you can teach them how to visualize doing a bubble meditation. You can teach them how to visualize being in a bubble. And if you want to do it like Lowkey, you can kind of tell them, imagine that your guardian angel comes in and puts a bubble around you, and that your guardian angel is always there to protect you. But as long as you have this bubble around you, you're always protected from negative energy. They love it. They love the bubble thing. And the other thing is, I love for parents to tune their kids into that they have a guardian angel, and anytime that they're feeling afraid or scared, to call the guardian angel in, and she's always there to protect them. So that's another really thing that you can just introduce them to their angel, and that they're there to love them and protect them, and they're always there with them, and that they can tap in and call upon and feel loved and feel their arms wrapped around. That might be a good thing to do at night. Angels tend to be very accepting in society, so that wouldn't be something that would be weird, but it's also very important in the spiritual realm. So teach them about their guardian angel and ask them to call them in, and you can call them in for them at nighttime. Maybe find some angel books or something like that that tells them about how protective that their angels are. Hopefully that was helpful on that, Susie. Or not Susie, I'm sorry, Jasmine. Disconnected emotionally, Annie says. That would probably be why, if you're more disconnected emotionally, most people that do that are really trying to disconnect from feeling any of their intuitive or psychic abilities or their psychic senses whatsoever, so they kind of shut off. If that's not the problem, that could be other things going on in your life, Annie, on that. So yes, that could be the very reason that happened. Shauna, in the last 6 months, my right ear is warm and tingling every day. Is a spirit following me? That's what happens when you channel and raise your vibration. So it's not a spirit that's following you. In fact, I was just talking about this in my psychic ability class. But when you have the ability to channel, you can tend to get very hot. And for me, because I'm a channeler, I will get very hot and red and tingly. Usually it's around your ears, and it can go down your neck. And when I'm channeling, or when there's spirits around, now let me explain this a little bit more, because I feel like I'm not explaining this very good. The tingling and the hot sensation is not a spirit following you. It is not your intuitive. It's your body, your spiritual body heating up in order to receive information when you channel. That's what it is. So it's like electricity. If you plug electricity in, the electricity gets really hot, your vibration raises. So when your vibration begins to raise in a way that you can tap into the spiritual world, you will heat up and become tingly around this area, the neck and the ears. There's chakras in those areas that you will begin to heat up, mini chakras, ones that you don't know about. So you'll begin to heat up in that area, and that usually means that there are spirits in the vicinity, or that your spiritual being is feeling like it wants to tap in with one of those spirits. But that doesn't mean that you have a specific spirit named Joe who's following you around and trying to go, Shauna, talk to me. It's not like that. You could be at the movie theater, you could be at your house, you could be at a friend's ball game, whatever. And if you start to feel that warm, tingly feeling, that's your vibration raising. There's spirits in the vicinity that potentially want to talk to you. Channeling is going to be something I'm going to be going over in my spirit communication class. And you're not in my psychic ability class, which I wish you would have taken, by the way, but you may very well benefit from the spirit communication class, because I'm going to get into a lot of that And also, Shauna, not everybody is a channel. That's a different ability that some people have. I'd say maybe 20-30% of people with psychic ability have it. So that's an interesting ability that you could learn a lot about in that class. Lori says, ask your spirit guide what their name is instead of saying the name. Ask your spirit guide what their name is instead of saying my name. My spirit guide said Tony out loud. There you go. Lori, you're getting so much information. This is so fantastic. So yeah, you can hear their names. Here's the thing with spirit guides. You can ask them their name. If you're not getting a clear name, usually you will hear something. Number one, it tends to not be something that you've heard in the spirit, like in the physical realm. So understand that if you hear a name, a lot of times it'll be something like Star or I don't know, I can't think of any right now, but Ronan. They'll be really strange. They tend to be really strange names. So if you feel like you're jumbling letters together, write the letters down and you'll figure it out as you're writing. So they tend to be odd names. If you're not getting a name, you can either name them something or you can call them a spirit guide. But you absolutely can give them a name. In fact, I know a lot of people who has been told their spirit guides' names and they're kind of like a long name. So they just go, yeah, I'm going to call you Cat, or I'm going to call you Sky, or whatever. And they just name them themselves. They don't care. Also, my kids always wake up every night between 3 and 5 a.m. Oh, perfect. During the, really heightened time of the spirit activity. Again, Jasmine, I feel like you really should introduce your kids to their guardian angels. I think that they're really going to embrace that, and they will call upon her. And they have different ones, by the way. So don't have them call the same ones. Or teach to them that you each have an individual one that's born with you, just specifically for you. So teach them about that. I think that they will utilize that more. Libby, I felt like someone was touching my arm last night. It was is it likely it was my sister saying hi? I had an eventful day coming up. Yes, it was your sister. It was a woman who has passed over. Yes, that was her. That's fantastic, Libby. How cool is that? Audra, I did. Thank you, Jennifer. Perfect. Patty, does everyone have a spirit guide? Is there one or more? Everybody has a spirit guide, and you usually have more than one. You will have anywhere, you have a main guide, and then you usually have anywhere from 2 to 3 guides at any given moment. You have different guides for different phases of your life and for different things that you're doing in those phases. So for instance, if you're going to nursing school, or you're teaching a class, or you're learning to go kite surfing or whatever, you will have different guides that come in to help guide you, give you knowledge, and offer you protection. So you will have 2 to 3 guides at any given time. You will have dozens throughout your lifetime, but you will have one primary guide that is with you, that you've made a contract with before birth. They know your life plan and how it's going to be, and they're there to help you accomplish what you want to. So hopefully that was what answered your question. Jennifer, how do I know it's your guide giving you a message and not your own mind? Jennifer, you did not take my class, which is funny. I thought you would take that. Actually, now that you mention it, I'm thinking, why aren't you in the class? But I cover so much of this stuff in that class. I'm going to just give you a snippet of what I've taught in the class. How you know is if it's your guide, if it's your own mind, your mind follows a train of thoughts. So one thing will lead to another that will lead to another. If you're driving home and think, I gotta make dinner, I should stop at the grocery store, oh, I forgot to pick up snacks for the kids' soccer game, oh my gosh, I need to throw laundry in, that's a chain of thoughts. It leads somewhere. You can really pinpoint where that thought came from. If you're driving down the road and out of nowhere you think, I should stop into this Safeway, and you have no idea why, then that is your spirit guide going, stop now. Maybe you're going to get a flat tire. Maybe you're going to run into somebody, whatever. So if you can trace a train of thoughts, if it's a thought train is what I call it, and it's like one thought leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, that's your own thoughts. If something randomly pops into your head and that is also mimicked or simultaneously pops into your head with kind of a feeling in the body, a noticeable feeling in the body at the same time, like that, and you popped into Safeway, popped into your head, and you were not thinking anything about Safeway, that's your guide giving you information. And FYI, your guide is popping into your head probably several times a day. So if you start thinking, well, 3 times today I had a random thought, it's still okay. It is your spiritual guide. It's not like that they're popping in, or it could be other guides, but it's not like that they're only popping in once a month or during times of danger when you're, they're not popping in and holding back. They're constantly trying to pop in and guide you. So hopefully that explained that a little bit. Holly, my children love talking about spirit guides and spirit world. Fantastic. So talk to them and ask them what they know, and if they know who their spirit guide is, and what if they remember anything, and ask them names and what they see and what they feel. And it's a fantastic way to connect with your kids and get them more open to things like that. I used to do that with my kids all the time. Again, my kids were kind of born remembering me